Hello everyone, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the finance MCQ session. Yesterday we discussed about the finance current affairs and today we are going to practice the MCQs. That's the clean agenda. We'll be practicing close to 30 questions in today's session. Okay guys, so let's quickly start the session. The first question for today. To strengthen the internal audit and governance framework, the NUCFDC signed a MOU of understanding with a recognized audit institution. This collaboration is aimed at enhancing the governance, specifically in which segment? Public sector, urban cooperative banks, regional rural banks, microfinance institutions, or small finance. A very good evening to all of you guys. Good evening Chetan, good evening Aditi. Yes, urban cooperative banks is the correct choice, right? Next question, in an alternate investment scenario, two different banks have the exposure to an AIF. So two different banks, two different regulated entities are having exposure to an AIF. As per the latest RBI guidelines on the investment limit, what is the maximum aggregate percentage of the corpus that can be collectively invested by the regulated entities in a single AIF? So on an individual basis, we need to have 10% limit, and on an aggregate basis, if more than one bank is coming into picture, then in that case 20% is the limit. Very good. Okay. Option C. Next question. India's central bank maintains the composite index to assess the level and progress of digital payments. So RBI has recently released the DPI data. In March 2025, this index saw a percentage rise as compared to the September 2024. Can you guys tell me how much percentage was the increase in March 2025 as compared to September 2024? Are you sure guys? Are you sure? The correct choice here is 6% increase. 10.7% is increase if we compare it with the previous year data. However, if I compare it with the last half yearly data which was published in September 2024, it is close to 6%. Okay, it is close to 6%. 10.7% is year on year basis growth. If I talk about the last published data, then the growth rate is 6%. Okay, close to 6%. The surge in the digital payment transaction has been key driver by specific areas with the ecosystem. RBI highlighted the significant improvements in certain factors that supported the growth. Which among the following are major contributors to this increase in the digital payment transaction? Payment infrastructure, demand side payment performance, or supply side payment performance, demand side payment enabler, supply side payment enabler, or demand side payment performance and payment enabler? B is the correct choice. Okay, no space for confusion here. B is the correct choice. Supply side payment infrastructure and payment performance. The next question for today, digital payments involve factors like digital identity system, banking channels, network reach, internet and mobile penetration. These aspects are captured under a specific parameter within the RBI Digital Payment Index. Which is the parameter including these components? Which is that parameter having these components? Any idea? These are the payment enablers. Okay, perfect, very good. Now you need to read these four statements and let me know which one is incorrect. The first statement, the digital payment index rose by 10.7% in March 2025 as compared to March 2024. Second statement is the financial inclusion index rise is mainly driven because of the usage and access dimension. Third statement, usage has the highest weight in the financial inclusion index, followed by quality and then access. And the fourth and the last statement is Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, UPI and Aadhaar enabled payment system are some of the government and RBI initiatives supporting the financial inclusion. You need to tell me which of the following statements are incorrect. Incorrect. Okay, so as per Chetan 1 and 3, Aditi only 3, Anita only, okay, option C, Anita option C, Aditi option D. Okay, any other opinion guys? और कुछ कोई? Okay, Chetan only third statement. Okay, so I can see that broadly the confusion is between these two options, right? Or I can see a monopoly of only 3. I think Aditi, Anita and Chetan, 3 of you are saying option D. However, the correct choice is option C. Both first and second both second and third statement are false. Okay, both second and third are false. Financial inclusion is not mainly driven because of usage and access, usage and quality. Okay, usage and quality. So I think चेतन ने जो पहले कमेंट किया था वो सही था. Okay, usage and quality के बेसिस के ऊपर ये होता है. And the highest weight is of usage. Then we are having the access weight and last weight is of quality. Okay, last weight is of quality. ठीक है. Next question. A regulated entity invests in an AIF amounting to 8 crore. So a regulated entity like HDFC Bank has invested in AIF amounting to 8 crore rupee. And the AIF channel funds into a debtor company that has also borrowed directly from the same entity, HDFC Bank. So it's that arrangement only that we discussed in the circular, right? According to RBI norms, how much of the indirect exposure must the regulated entity provide for if the corpus of the AIF is 100 crore? AIF corpus is 100 crore. Regulated entity has invested in a AIF. AIF is also giving money to the debtor company in which the regulated entity has a direct loan arrangement. Let's see who will be the first one to solve this. Okay, 5%, 5 crore, 3 crore. Any other opinion guys? Any other opinion? The AIF corpus is 5 crore. Let me just quickly draw a diagram. Regulated entity has invested in an AIF, alternate investment fund, who is having corpus of 100 crore. This AIF has also invested in an entity which is a debtor of this regulated entity. Regulated entity has given loan to this debtor. AIF is again investing in this entity. The correct choice here is 3 crore, option D. Why sir 3 crore ऐसे कैसे हो गया? अरे 5% तक you can have exposure up to 5%. That means up to 5 crore. Beyond 5 crore, whatever your exposure is having, you need to provide for it. You need to add a provision for that. You need to add a provision for that. Okay, 100% provision. 100% provision on that access amount. That's why 100% provision on 3 crore needs to be made as per the new RBI circular. Next question. RBI's updated direction on the AIF investment exempts certain instruments from provisioning requirements. Which of the following instruments is not exempted and would still trigger the provisioning rules if used in such transaction? Equity shares, compulsorily convertible preference shares, compulsorily convertible debentures, bonds, or option E, all are exempt. करेक्ट चॉइस हियर इज ऑप्शन डी, बॉन्ड्स. ठीक है, इन तीनों के ऊपर ये वाला रेगुलेशन नहीं लगने वाला है. ये सब एग्जेम्प्ट है पर बॉन्ड्स नहीं है. ओके, बॉन्ड्स नहीं है, राइट. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, when regulated entities invest in subordinated units of AIF as per the RBI norms, what treatment is required? Let's suppose if a regulated entity has invested in the subordinated units of AIF, in that manner what will happen? Will it be treated as a deduction of tier 1, deduction from tier 2, from both tier 1 and tier 2, increase in risk buffer and deduction from tier 2, or none of these? Deduction from tier 1 and tier 2. Okay, tier 1 and tier 2, option C. Next question, the Asian Development Bank has periodically updated the economic outlook for the member countries. So can you guys tell me the India's GDP projection for financial year 2026 as per the ADB, Asian Development Bank? %6.5%, guys, 6.5%. Next question, RBI has recently released that AIF direction. Can you guys tell me the date from which these directions will be fully effective on the regulated entities? The date from which these directions will be fully effective. The correct choice here is 1st January 2026. I think there is a issue with the option. Ideally it should be E here. Okay, 1st January 2026. So happy new year कोड है यहाँ पे, ठीक है. ये प्रोमो कोड नहीं है किसी डिस्काउंट का, ये क्वेश्चन की मेमोरी टेक्निक है, ठीक है. 1st January 2026. तो इस तरह से प्लीज ट्राई टू रिमेंबर. या तो आप फाइनेंशियल ईयर का स्टार्ट याद कर सकते हो 1 अप्रैल, या फिर मेमोरी टेक्निक क्या है, हैप्पी न्यू ईयर है, ठीक है. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, India's new national cooperative policy was introduced to revitalize the rural credit and strengthen cooperative institutions. It proposes the formulation of which entity to support these goals? Formulation of which entity is being proposed in this particular national cooperative policy? That's correct. Option C, National Apex Cooperative Bank is the new proposal in this particular policy. Okay. Next question, risk-based internal audit is gaining attention in the cooperative banking norms. RBI is primarily focused on which of the following approach? Options are in front of you. What is the approach of RBIA? So already Reserve Bank of India is also focusing on the RBIA. Good evening, Bhakti. Welcome to the session. Option E, prioritizing risk to focus the audit resource. Let's suppose there are 10 areas and I feel that risk is quite high in these 2 areas, so I'll be increasing my level of testing, my level of auditing in these 2 areas. Okay. Next question, the Reserve Bank of India released a draft master direction proposing a significant reform in the business authorization. These reforms primarily target which category of the financial institutions? Private, small finance, urban cooperative, public sector, microfinance. A very straight question, a very easy question. Obviously UCBs. Why? The whole finance current affairs was having close to 4 or 5 news related to UCBs only. Okay. Next question, the proposed reform for the UCB introduce a regulatory treatment designed to provide differentiated benefits. This model offers graduated relaxation based on the financial strength and the risk level. What is this approach called? Multi-tier, tier-based regulatory approach, differential compliance model, scale risk-based model, or cooperative strength index? I was not expecting such quick answers here. Great, Bhakti and Chetan. The correct answer here is tier-based regulatory model. Tier-based regulatory model. That's what the proposal of this particular draft circular was. Next question. PSL limit for the urban cooperative banks. We all know that from 1st April 2025 RBI has changed the PSL norms, and PSL norms are very, very important for you guys. So in this finance current affairs session that we recently discussed yesterday, there was a PSL limit as well, right? Yes, perfect. 60%. Okay, 60%. Next question. As part of the updated loan classification reform, UCBs can now classify certain loans as small value loans. So loans value up to 2.5 million or 0.4% of the tier 1 capital, whichever is higher, will be classified under small loan category. What is the maximum ceiling per borrower of such loans? 10 million, 30 million. 30 million or 10 million? 25 million. Okay, the correct choice is option D, 30 million. Okay, 30 million. So 0.4 is the new criteria. Earlier we used to have 0.2, right? And I think the last limit was related to 10 million rupee. Now it is upgraded to 30 million. Okay, and the percentage is topped up 2.4%, right? Next question. India's index of industrial production, IIP, reported the slowest year-on-year growth since August 2004. By what percentage the IIP grew for June 2025? 1.5? Everyone is on the same page? Yes, 1.5% is the correct choice. Okay, स्लोएस्ट है आज तक की 10 मंथ्स के अंदर. पिछले महीने भी स्लोएस्ट थी, इस बार और कम हो गई है. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. सेबी टुगेदर विद स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस, इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन. SEBI together with stock exchanges revised the enhanced surveillance measure ESM norms to monitor the small cap companies. This framework applies to companies with market capitalization below which threshold? 500 crore, 750 crore, 1k crore, 1.25k crore, or 1.5 or 1500 crore. Very good everyone. 1000 crore is the correct choice, option C. Okay, 1000 crore. So below 1000 crore market capitalization वालों SEBI ने आपके लिए surveillance measures लगाने चालू कर दिए. Next, in late June 2025, conditions impacted the mining and the power output, leading to a weaker industrial growth, and that we can see in the IIP data as well. What specific factor was identified as the main cause for the decline in the growth rate of IIP? The correct choice is excess monsoon, right? Excess monsoon. Acha, can you guys tell me, in the IIP, which was the only sector that showed a growth? We have seen that mining and power got crushed badly. Which was the only sector that was thriving? Very good. Manufacturing was the one. Okay, manufacturing was the one. Next, in case of a breach of minimum investment threshold, the specialized investment fund, certain provisions apply. According to the SEBI's regulation, what immediate action is taken when there is an active breach? When there is an active breach, what will happen in that case? If I don't maintain the bare minimum 10 lakh amount in the SIF, what will happen? Whether the units will be cancelled, units are frozen for debits, investor is fined as a percentage of investment, fund is barred from new subscriptions, or only interest earnings are suspended. Option B here is the correct choice. Units will be frozen for debits in your account until you clear the bare minimum limit. Okay, option B. Next, forward rate agreements. are the key financial instruments used in the risk management? How the FRA is best described in terms of structure and trading? Exchange traded equity options, over the counter derivatives, centralized clearinghouse futures, mutual fund linked securities और listed G6. आपकी यूनिट्स फ्रीज कर ली जाएंगी चेतन, ठीक है। मान लो आपने एसआईएफ में 10 लाख रुपीस इन्वेस्ट करने थे, आपने 9 लाख 10 लाख करे, 1 लाख निकाल दिए, रिडीम कर लिए, तो ये एक्टिव ब्रीच माना जाएगा। अब जो आपके 9 लाख हैं वो फ्रीज हो जाएंगे, उनको आप ना बेच सकते हो ना और कुछ कर सकते हो फॉर द नेक्स्ट 30 days टिल यू टॉप इट अप टू द मिनिमम थ्रेशोल्ड ऑफ 10 lakhs। ओके, दैट वाज द प्रोविजन। और अगर फिर भी आप नहीं करते हो तो पूरा का पूरा रिडेम्पशन हो जाएगा आफ्टर 30 days। हियर द करेक्ट चॉइसेस option B, over the counter derivatives. Okay, over the counter derivatives. Next question, a fintech startup, important, has received SEBI's not to test the fractional share trading. What was the name of that startup? What was the name of that startup? Yes, Chetan, please have a look at that particular note once more. Exalts, right? Exalts is the name. Earlier Zerodha ने भी फाइल किया था, पर अभी किसको मिला है? Exalts को मिला है to test the fractional share trading in the sandbox. Next, IMF का growth projection. What is the growth rate projection of the IMF for India? Growth rate projection of IMF 6.4. Okay, next, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank plans to rebalance its lending portfolio. What is the target percentage of financing to be directed to private sector projects by 2030? By 2030. What is the target? Quickly guys, everyone in the comment section, what is the target? %50. Okay, 50%. As of now it is close to 25%. They are aiming to make it 50% in the private sector. Which surveillance system under the ESM norms of SEBI targets the abnormal price movement? It includes factors like high volatility, consecutive gains in the past 3 months, tighter trading rules. Which surveillance stage does this description fit? Stage 1, 2, 3, 4. Which stage? Any idea? Aditi, skip. Bhakti, stage 1. Okay, this is stage 1. Okay, this is stage 1. Next question, Indian banks recorded an improvement in the liquidity coverage ratio during the Q1 of financial year 2026. This was mainly supported by which funding source? Directly from the Economic Times article. Retail deposit inflows. Okay, bulk deposits and corporate deposits का outflow हुआ था, retail deposits की वजह से inflow हुआ था. Option B. Okay, option B here is the correct choice. Retail deposits की वजह से increase हुआ था. Next question, India's flexible inflation targeting framework is scheduled for review in 2026. The objective of this review is to refine monetary policy mechanism. What is the main goal of this particular exercise? And in this particular part, we have decided, we are discussing कि RBI headline CPI पे बहुत ज़्यादा focus कर रहा है. They will also be publishing from now onwards. ऐसा proposal चल रहा है, 2026 के अंदर होगा decide. ठीक है, तो ऐसा प्रपोजल चल रहा है कि वो लोग कोर इन्फ्लेशन का भी टारगेट देंगे, जैसे अभी देते हैं ना 4 ± 2%, वैसे ही कोर इन्फ्लेशन का भी टारगेट देने की बात चल रही है. इधर द करेक्ट चॉइस इज टू इंप्रूव कम्युनिकेशन इफेक्टिवनेस एंड स्ट्रेंथन द मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी क्रेडिबिलिटी. ओके, सो वेरी गुड Bhakti, very good. Next and the last question for today, and definitely you need to let me know the answer in the general comment section. Okay, This is the question. Here are the 3 statements. Let me know the correct choice in the normal statement, and everyone who is watching this video has to comment in the general comment section, and do let me know the correct answer. Okay guys, so thank you so much for today. Bye bye, take care. I wish you a very happy weekend. Happy weekend मेरे लिए, आप लोगों के लिए क्या है, रिविजन टाइम है, ठीक है. सो बहुत सारा रिवाइज करना. अभी तक जितना फाइनेंस करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ाया है, ट्राई टू रिवाइज एटलीस्ट जून वाला और जुलाई वाला. ओके, यस, क्लोज टू 25 to 30 सेशन क्वेश्चंस हमको डिस्कस करने थे, उतने ही क्वेश्चंस बन सकते हैं. आई कैन स्ट्रेच इट बट इट वॉन्ट बी एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड, राइट. और ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन बनाऊंगा फिर एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड नहीं बनेंगे, तो मतलब नहीं रहेगा. वी नीड टू फोकस ऑन द core concepts in a targeted manner. That will be the strategy always. So good night guys, bye bye, take care. कोई भी query हो definitely reach out करना. Okay, bye.